Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be repotting these two lovely Phalaenopsis orchids I got from Annabelle as a gift. And this here, she's in bloom, you can see. It's a lovely Phalaenopsis Samera. You can see the bloom. It smells very cinnamony today. The fragrance seems to change a bit from day to day. I very much like it. They're both in tiny little plastic sleeves, as you can see here. That's jam-packed full of sphagnum moss, which I'm not a fan of because it's relatively difficult to let it dry out and to water it. And also I just want to see what's going on down there, see how the roots are, and have a general idea of the health of the plant. And then I can get into its own self-watering system. Since they're in sphagnum moss, they must be used to relatively wet environments. I prefer not to use sphagnum moss just because it degrades relatively quickly in self-watering systems. So I always prefer to use leca if I can get away with it. So I'm going to try and put them in leca, and then we'll see how things go. The one thing I'm worried about is that with this orchid, this is a Bellina crossed with Tetraspis C1, Bellina Alba. And it's a 1 year from flowering seedling, or at least that's what it's advertised as. But over there, right over here, you see this? It looks like a spike, and I think Annabelle agrees that it looks more like a spike than it does a root. So it might actually already be spiking, despite supposedly being 1 year from flowering. So I really hope I don't upset the plant and make the spike stop growing. Maybe I will put this one in sphagnum moss because that's what it's used to. But the Samera, I'm definitely putting in leca, just to see how well it does. But first, I'm just going to unpot them and get a good look at the root systems. So I'll start with the little Tetraspis because it's the easier job to quickly do. And then I'll move on to Samera. I'm going to gently push this out of this little sleeve just by pushing my thumb up the bottom hole there. And there we go. It is free. Don't lose the tag, of course. Okay. Let's see. And then you slowly but carefully start to take out all the sphagnum. You can see it's really jam-packed. It's not fluffy anymore at all. Not airy. Which I don't want, especially on a self-watering system when it's wet so often. So I'm going to take all of this out, as much as I possibly can, and replace it with my own medium. And in the process I'll also be able to see whether there are any pests, or whether there's any problems with the root system, and I'll be able to alter my care accordingly. It's all falling out relatively easily. Okay, so the root system on this plant is not the greatest. It's not terrible. I mean, we have this nice growing root tip here, for instance, and we have this one here as well. So it really isn't terrible, but it's not so good that I'd be willing to chance putting it in a completely different setup, honestly. I don't think maybe I wouldn't even chance it on self-watering sphagnum, even if it came out of sphagnum, because it definitely wasn't in self-watering before I got it. Like even this root, it looks good here. It's pretty much dead up here. So I have no idea why it decided to make a flower spike. It doesn't look healthy enough in my opinion, but the good news is we have this root coming out here, and we have this root still in active growth. This one doesn't seem to be in active growth anymore, but it's long enough to potentially branch in the future. And we have this root coming over here. So, you know, the cavalry's coming. But for now, it's not looking too great, and I don't want that spike to abort. I want to see it flower. I want to be the first to have a flower, Annabelle. Annabelle also has this plant, but it didn't come with a flower spike. So she maybe still has to wait for a year. Or not. We'll see. Okay, so just to be sure, to be cautious, I'm going to spray this root system with some hydrogen peroxide 3%. It's a very weak solution. It doesn't do much to damage the roots of your plants. I've used it many times and never had any adverse effects, but it is very effective against things like snail eggs. And especially because it's a new plant from a nursery, you can never be quite sure whether they have any kind of pest infestations. So I'm of the opinion that it's a good practice to spray it down and try and get rid of small critters and eggs that you might have missed. Okay, so now we're going to clean up the root system with some sterilized scissors. Like this maybe, yeah. Now some of these, like this one, I don't know what to do with this because this feels firm and like very functional, but then here's just plain root without development, and here it's all desiccated. But it doesn't have much in the way of roots. I'm just gonna keep it. Who knows what it does for the plants? Probably not very much, but you know, better something than nothing. These are all very desiccated and dead. Same story here, you know, this part looks alive and well, this part looks pretty dead, but I'm going to keep it on because it doesn't have very much to start with. This one's a bit odd. It looks almost like it's desiccated, but at the same time, it's green and firm, so I guess I'll keep it on to be sure. Okay, so this is what we're keeping of the root system. As you can see, it's not great, but it will have to make do.
I'm back with my Phalaenopsis Samera from Orchid Garden, and she's completely opened her flower now, so I'll just let you have a look at that. Beautiful. And it smells amazing. It's my favorite smelling plant so far. I like it better than the Bellina even, which I always heard is like the best smelling plant ever. But here we go. It's in its plastic sleeve still with the sphagnum moss, so I'll remove the tag so I don't lose it. It's very sticky. It's because Orchid Garden ships these taped to the packaging they come in, and that means that it leaves behind quite a lot of sticky residue. If any of you know of a way to get rid of that so I can keep using this tag, let me know. And now we'll try and gently remove the plants from the plastic sleeve. There we go. Not so much gentle, but it worked. Okay. So it doesn't smell very good, so I'm glad I'm unpotting this because it smells like the moss is decaying. But we can see there's a very good root ball in there. There's plenty of roots to work with. So I think it will adjust to whatever new medium I put in quite readily. And I'm going to put in self-watering leca, as I do with all my Phalaenopsis, because it's simply the easiest and has very little maintenance for me. So I'll just start stirring away at the sphagnum. It's very compact. I never quite understand how the nurseries get away with that. But I guess they do, because it comes with great roots. Oh, I see I've accidentally kind of fractured one root here. Right over there. But it's not too bad, so I'm hoping it will recover. It's a Phalaenopsis. Phalaenopsis and their roots tend to be quite vigorous and recover quite easily. Getting quite a mountain of sphagnum moss there. Gonna get some tweezers and come back so I can get rid of the last bits of sphagnum between the roots. Because especially when you want to put a plant in semi-hydro or self-watering leca, just any inorganic system really, it pays to try and get rid of as much of the organic material as you possibly can. Just because then there's a minimized possibility of anything rotting in the pot. The big advantage of inorganic material is in of itself that it doesn't rot. So then if you have old organic bits and pieces in there rotting anyway, that's something you kind of forgo, an advantage that isn't quite as strong as it could be. So you just want to go in there and see if you can get out as much of the old sphagnum moss as you possibly can. But you want to do this without damaging the roots, of course, because that's pretty much never worth it. Okay, I think I got pretty much all of it, so now I'll just take it to the sink and round off underwater for a little bit to dislodge any of the last little bits and pieces, and then come back to pot it. I've rinsed the root system and I've chosen a new pot for this orchid, which already has the wicks installed. You can see the root ball fits just fine with extra room to spare, so I think it's a great fit. And now I'll just do what I always do, which is spoon some of the leca into the pot around the roots and try to leave as few air holes, as few gaps between the roots as I possibly can. Just take care of all this leca rolling around before it gets on the floor and I step on it and I hurt myself. Oh my god. I am not good at keeping my mess contained. Now occasionally you want to pick up your pot, you don't just want to spoon things in, you want to pick up your pot, you want to kind of massage it a bit, tap it around, try and get all the leca to fall in between the spaces that are currently just empty air. It's okay to have a few air pockets, there's nothing wrong with that, but you want it to be a few and not very large. Like the individual air pockets should not be large. Like this, I think it's okay, but you know, it's best to just massage it in, there's no big effort. And the biggest reason you should fill up air pockets is just that you don't want the roots there to not have access to moisture, or not enough moisture. The area around the roots will always be humid, but I don't know if that's actually enough, especially when summer comes, which, well, it's summer now. It might need more than just a little bit of humidity. It might need actual water. So it's always difficult to get leca more like around the higher concentration of roots. So around here, it's a little bit difficult to maneuver the balls of leca to go down there. It becomes easier if you use smaller pieces of leca. But there you go. You just keep trying. Just go slowly. You massage it. You don't throw in all the leca in one go, because if you do that, then if you later find that you have some large air pockets, it becomes very difficult to fill it. The more leca's sit on top of it, the harder it is for each bit of leca to move around and kind of maneuver themselves into the hole as you massage the pot. So you want to do a bit, then massage it into the right place. There we go. I didn't really comment on the root system of this one yet, so it has a great root system, a really good one. I didn't see any dead roots, yeah, except for this looks really desiccated. I think I can cut the end off of this root. Like it's, you see a tear there. I think before that it's healthy, and after that it's kind of dead. There we go. But other than that one, and wait, I see another desiccated one over here actually. Other than those two, the root system has been incredibly healthy. There we go. And there's a lot of it, so I have no doubt that this orchid will adjust just fine. Won't have any problems whatsoever. No dehydration issues whatsoever. So all in all, I think that any sort of leaf floppiness or deformity was really caused by dehydration during transport and waiting around my neighbor's house, and not because anything's wrong with the plants. They are healthy, happy looking plants. Okay. Let me just check and see if we got rid of all the air pockets. There we go, last bit there. And all the air pockets seem to be closed. There's a happy little root peeking out us there. So that's this repotting, all done. I've left the plant angled just because that's the way it seems to have grown, and I'm fine with that. It looks nice, kind of covers the pot. I kind of like the way it looks when it's kind of leaning over like that. So I'll leave it as is, and yeah, let's hope it continues to grow well, that those root tips all stay active, and it will grow nice fat self-watering leca roots. Show you the flower one more time. I really like this Annabelle. So that's both of these lovely phals repotted. Thank you so much once again, Annabelle. I really do like them. The Samera smells divine. And I really look forward to seeing this one bloom. I hope that after it's done with this leaf, it will continue to spike. That'll be when, if I'm very lucky, because perhaps when, depending on the rate of growth, it might not finish this until like the beginning of autumn. We'll see. But I'm very happy. I hope they'll adjust to self-watering leca easily without any sort of setback. And I'll keep you updated on the progress. Thank you for watching and have an excellent day. Bye.